Welcome back, squad. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Full Ride, the college recruiting podcast. This is your recruiting coach and podcast host, Quito Delgado, and I am so thrilled you've tuned in yet again. If this is your first time checking us out, I welcome you and hope it's not your last time, and invite you to subscribe to our show because each and every Thursday we come to you with a new episode, and our goal is to educate our families on the ins and outs of college recruiting. And wherever you are and however you may be listening to this episode, I hope you're warm. I say that because I'm from upstate New York, the Albany, New York area, capital region, and we are experiencing our first taste of winter. Woke up, went outside, and whoo, the wind chill and the frost just smacked you right in the face. So I'm not a winter person, people. I don't like the cold, and I'm not a fan of it. But hey, if you like the snow because you're a skier, or you like to do snowboarding, go ice skating, God bless you. But for me, it's not my cup of tea whatsoever. But just want to, before I get into the episode, just want to share a quick story and really just create a little bit of urgency for our families, particularly our student athletes. Maybe you're a senior. So my alma mater, they played in their section. They played in the Super Bowl. So if they won the Super Bowl in the playoffs, then they would have been able to go on and then try to win states. So I went to the game, and it was an awesome game, phenomenal. And it came all the way down, literally to the last play of the game. We were up, I believe, 5 points. And the way we took the lead, I say we as if I was playing, but I was pulling for them, and so the team, right? They scrapped all game, and took the lead on the fumble recovery for a touchdown with about 2 minutes to go. It was crazy, and then the other team, to their credit, they drove all the way down the field, and they got it to the 1 yard line. And they were down, I believe, 1 or 2 points. I'm not sure. But rather than kick the field goal, they ran it in for a touchdown, and they won. And just like that, I mean, it was just crazy to see it and to witness it, because on our sideline, you just see, I'll start with the other side. On the other team side, I mean, the kids are celebrating, coaches celebrating, parents, they're all going crazy, because not only did they win the Super Bowl, but now their season continues and they can keep, going on and hopefully win a state championship. So you saw like the pure joy and excitement. And then on the other side, we saw our players who, really played their hearts out. And we have quite a few seniors on our team who had amazing careers, really took our program to a new level, to be honest. And but just like that, it hit them that for many of them, that was the last down of football that they will ever play. The last down of football many of them will ever play again. Maybe, sure, yeah, they'll play flag football, or they'll play, some type of rec league, when they get older. But for the most part, there are a couple kids that have a chance to go play in college, but the remaining student athletes, that was it. It was over. No more locker room, no more practices, no more game day, none of that. And the reason why I say that, I'm not trying to be, start to show off, glum, but I really need my student athletes to truly cherish these moments. Don't take it for granted. So maybe you're going into your winter season. Speaking of winter, you're starting, the basketball season and all the other winter sports. And I just want you to go into it focused. and not only focus, but truly have gratitude and appreciate the opportunity you have to be with your best friends, many of your best friends, and playing a sport that you love, hopefully that you love. Like, and you get to do it for your high school, right? Like, truly cherish those opportunities because it's going to go fast. You're going to look up in 3 months and it's going to be over. So just kind of wanted to talk about that, and then kind of segue into today's topic, because it kind of, I think there is some similarities from a standpoint of having urgency, because, before you look up, before you know it, you are going to be a senior. And if you do want to play in college, it can sneak up on you really fast. And if you haven't laid the foundation, and if you haven't taken the right steps, it can really steamroll you, quite frankly. And I mention this because I have two different scenarios for you. So obviously, for those of you who tune in each and every Thursday, that through my company, URECRUITU, a big part of what I do is I'm a coach. I'm a college recruiting coach. So I really sit down and I help families navigate the college recruiting process from start to finish, right? And if they're local, sometimes I do it in person, but in many instances we're doing weekly or monthly conference calls. There are checklists. I just kind of keep them on track. And there's a number of things I do. I don't want to make this a commercial for URECRUITU, but that's what I do. And so over the last 2 weeks, I've had two consultations, if you will, kind of like meet, and they're both local. So meeting with two different families. One student athlete, he's a freshman. He's currently a freshman, and he plays basketball. And then the other one is a senior, and he plays football, right? So you have two different people or student athletes at different spectrums of college recruiting. But during my initial consultation call, the topic that I talked about the most, ironically, was education, right? Because for the freshman student athlete, not education, I'm sorry, well, education, but really core classes. And I'm going to drill down on that a little bit later. But in both consultations, I spent a good amount of time talking about core classes. And the three questions I always ask a family when I first meet with them are these three questions. Do you know what a core course is? Right? Do you know what a core course, core class is? Number two, do you know which classes at your school, so at your high school, are considered a core course by the NCAA? And you may say, that sounds like a lot like the first question. They're not the same, and I'll explain to you a little bit later. And then number three, do you know how to calculate your GPA for your core courses? So families, take a minute right now and just off the top of your head, do you know the answers to those questions? And I guess I'll add a fourth. Do you know where to go to find out which of your core classes or which of the classes at your school are considered a core course? So basically, you identify what you think is a core class, but then how do you go about confirming it? Do you know how to confirm it? And I may have butchered that question a little bit. I'll explain it to you a little bit. It all makes sense. But those are the four questions I ask every family when I first meet them. And I'm asking that right now to you. Do you know the answers to those questions? Do you know the answer to all of them, or maybe just one of them? And what I want to do, I'm telling you right now, families, you are essentially getting a free consultation right now. And I really need you to, and I'm going to do my best to, because obviously you can't see me, unless you're watching this on YouTube. By the way, you can search URECRUITU, but even still, you're just seeing me. But You can search URECRUITU on YouTube and you'll find this particular video. But I need you to take out a notepad and a pen, pencil, and just take really good notes. And even listen to this twice if you have to, because it's a game changer for you, right? I tell families, no matter the sport, no matter your ability, no matter how tall you are, no matter how fast you are, no matter how good or bad your team is, no matter where you live, there's a number of things when it comes to college recruiting that you can't control. But there are a number of things you absolutely can control. You have to control the controllable. And one of them, one for our student athletes, is how you perform in the classroom. You 100% have control over. But then B, for my mom and dad, my parents, you can absolutely control how much you understand core classes, how to calculate your child's GPA. You can definitely map out the classes that they take, so on and so forth, so that you aren't looking up your senior year blindsided, right? So you both have a responsibility here. So this is a big, big, big note-taking day, right? So I'm going to start off by answering the first question: what is a core class? What is a core course, if you will? So first thing I want you to write down is the number 16, right? The NCAA requires student athletes who want to play at the Division I or the Division II level, right? They require you to complete 16 core classes by your senior year. All right? Many families, and as a matter of fact, the student athlete who I talked to that was a senior, I said, you know what your GPA is and your core GPA is, and they threw out a number and it was way off. And what they were doing is they were including his GPA for all of his classes. The NCAA, and I've said this in previous episodes, does not recognize every single course you take. All right? They only recognize certain classes. And I'm just going to give you the high-level overview here. And you don't have to write all these down because I'm going to tell you where you can find out which of your classes are core courses. But in essence, you need to have core classes include, and I'm reading it right from the NCAA website: English, American literature, creative writing, math, algebra 1 through 3, geometry, statistics, natural or physical sciences, biology, chemistry, physics, social science, American history, civics, government. And then there's an additional comparative religion, right? So comparative religion means it has to kind of like be non-denominational. And then Spanish 1 through 4. Those are your core classes. And now obviously within those, you're going to have different classes that you take throughout your years. But those are it. So there are a number of classes that people may take. Say you take a personal finance class, that doesn't count. You take a typing, an art, a music class, doesn't count. Physical education doesn't count, right? A fine arts class, acting doesn't count. Band. Many students make that big mistake right off the bat of not knowing what core classes are, what they mean, and it can easily derail and sabotage your college recruiting experience. So that's number 1, right? Write down that number, 16, and then you have to have those classes, and then they're broken down into like 3 years of English, 2 years of math, 2 years of science, 2 years of social science, and then 3 additional years of either English, math, science, Spanish, and then comparative religion. So that's number 1. So that's the first question that I ask, and now you have that answer, right? Those are your core classes. Number 2, do you know which classes at your school are considered a core class? This is really important. This is huge. So what you got to understand is, and I don't know the exact process of how this works, but I'm imagining your high school has to submit to the NCAA the classes that are offered at their school, probably with some kind of, the title of the class and then a description of the course. And then the NCAA determines if that is a core class, if that is eligible to be considered a core class. Does it meet their requirements? Right? So every school has, their own, a number assigned to them. And then you have access to this. You go to this high school portal, and you go to this portal, you type in your code, or you type in the name of your school, city, and state. And then what will happen is it pulls up all the classes offered at your school that are considered core classes by the NCAA. A lot of families they make that assumption that, I took, a certain class, a certain science, and they think that that's considered a core class. They're good to go, only to find out their senior year that class doesn't count. All right. So you have to be diligent. You have to really sit down with your guidance counselor. And I always tell families, you want to do this your freshman year. You really, really want to do this your freshman year, ideally. But really, I don't care if your son or daughter is a sophomore, junior, or senior right now. If you've never done this, you need to do it. You need to print off your transcript, go to your high school go to your guidance counselor, and then go to that high school portal and really find out which classes offered at your school are considered a core class, and then make sure you take at least four to five. I say minimum 4, but probably 5 core classes a year, your freshman, sophomore, junior year, and then your senior year, maybe 3 or 4. Right? That's what you need to do. So that is huge. And just so you guys know, because the website itself is pretty long, the link, in the show notes, click on the link. That's going to bring you to our website, urecruitu.com/full ride. So urecruitu.com/full ride. It's going to have the show notes. And at the show notes, there's going to be a link that you can click on. That's going to bring you to the high school portal and all you got to do is type in your school information and you're going to see it. But that's how you find out which of your classes at your school qualify by the NCAA as a core class. Do not make that assumption. Don't say, I took English, I'm good to go. Make sure that it qualifies. All right? That's the answer to question 2. Now, number 3. And most families never know this answer. You may know 2 of them. Most times, families definitely don't know this last one. And that is, do you know how to calculate your core GPA? Right? So again, real quick before I move on, in your notes, I want you to write down our website, urecruitu.com/full ride. In case this is your first time listening to us, we don't spell out the word U. It's just the letter U. So the letter U, and then recruit, and then the letter U.com/full ride, which of course is the name of the podcast. Go there. So that's the second thing I want you to write down. Or maybe the third thing if you wrote down the courses that I mentioned before. So anyway, I'm rambling, sorry. Now, I'm going to do my best to explain this next part to you without putting you to sleep. And I'm sorry if this isn't glamorous. If I'm not motivating you this week, I'm not trying to motivate you at all. This is a 100% meat and potato. This is a education episode. All right. So how do you calculate your core GPA? So the first thing you need to understand is this when it comes to the NCAA. They do not care if you got let's say you got a 73 in a class and then you got a 78 in another class. Many of you think, I got a 73. Okay, that's a C minus. And then a 78 is a C plus, right? The NCAA does not operate that way. They don't do plus and minuses. It's just A, B, C, or D. That's it, right? So write that down. The letter A, the letter B, the letter C, the letter D. And now what I want you to do is next to the letter A, I want you to write down the number 4. And I'll explain to you in a little bit. And then next to the number 4, write down 90 to 100, 90-100, right? So an A equals a 4, and then a 90 to 100 is what qualifies as an A by the NCAA, right? So write the letter A. Next to that, write the number 4, and then 90 to 100. The next is going to be the letter B. Write the number 3, and then do 80 to 89. Next, you can imagine, is a C. Write down the number 2, and then 70 to 79. And then you got D, which I hope nobody's getting, but you got D. That equals a 1, and that is 65 to 69. And then, of course, is the F, which no one better be getting, but F is a 0. Anything below a 64 is considered an F. You get no credit for it. 0. Right? So that's how you have to, that's how you determine your score for that particular class. So you take an English class, you get a 78. That's a C. That's worth 2 points, right? So now I just mentioned points. Below that, I want you to, next to all that, I want you just to write the word quality points, right? Quality points. And what that means is each core class that you take, you are trying to score a quality point. So an A would be 4 quality points, a B would be 3 quality points, a C would be 2 quality points, and a D would be 1 quality points. If you fail a class, you get no points for it. You don't get credit for that core class. Obviously, a D is not good, but at least you don't want any Fs. You want to at least get a D, because then you can at least say you have that 1 core class. You get credit for it. All right? And then again, remember, there are no A's and no A minuses, B pluses. And this is why it's so important. I tell this all the time. So one of the senior that I met with, right? Freshman year. Now, I will say this, full disclosure. Junior year, my man crushed it. I think he realized the light switch went off that he needed to handle his business in class. My man crushed it. Junior year. So far, senior year, first semester, off to a rock solid start. But what do you think may have happened his freshman and sophomore year, particularly his freshman year? My man really struggled. And he had a couple of classes, just 2, right, off of memory here. He had a 68 in one class, 1 core class, and a 69 in another core class. Now, obviously, those grades aren't ideal, but he got a 68 and a 69. He was so close to a 70. So instead of getting 2 quality points for those 2 classes, he only got 1 quality point for those 2 classes. So that's this little quick tip I need my families to understand. When you take these core classes, I really need you, if you're close to making that next tier, I need you to do everything possible to go to that next level. So if you're like at a 69, 68, go to your teacher, hey, can I make up an assignment? Can I do extra credit to get me to a 70? On the flip side, maybe you're at an 88, you're at an 87. Go to that teacher, fight like heck to try to get a 90 so you can get that A. You can get 4 credits instead of 3, right? And I know I'm saying a lot, and I hope you're following here, but you don't want to leave any points, any quality points. Just like in football, you don't want to leave any plays, or on basketball, you don't want to leave any plays on the field. You don't want to leave any points in the classroom. So that's why it's important throughout the semester, throughout the year, you want to check in, you want to see where you are, because if you're on the edge, you want to make sure you can increase your score by 1 or 2 points, so you can always, make sure you're not leaving any points out. I mean, there's nothing worse than scoring an 89 and you're 1 point away from getting a 90. So instead of getting an A and 4 credits, you get a B and 3 quality points. All right? So that's quality points. And I'm almost done here. I hope this is helpful to you. The next bucket here now is units of credit. All right? Units of credit is what I want you to write down. So you got to understand, the majority, not all of them, but the majority of your core classes are full year classes. I can't say all of them are. They aren't. Sometimes you take them half a year or a trimester. But for the most part, I would say 8 out of 10 times, 7 out of 10 times, your core classes are full year classes. So what I want you to do is for 1 year, so write the number, write 1 year, that equals 1 credit, right? 1 semester equals 0.50. That means half, right? So 1 year equals 1 unit. 1 semester equals 0.50. Then you have a trimester, which is 0.34. And then lastly, you have 1 quarter, which is 0.25. So one last time, you got your units of credit. 1 year equals 1 unit. 1 semester equals 0.50. 1 trimester equals 0.34. And then 1 quarter equals 0.25. Why is all that important? So now what you want to do is you want to take the quality point. So let's say you got that A, right? So 4 points. And you took, for English as an example, you took English, you scored a 90 for English your freshman year, right? So it would be 4, which is your quality point. You multiply that by 1 for the year, and that gives you 4 quality points, right, for that one particular class. Now, last part. How do you put all this together? How do you calculate your GPA for the year? And then, of course, you got to keep doing this every single year. And then at the end, you add them all up, you divide, multiply, all that fun stuff. I'm just going to give you an example for your freshman year, right? So let's say a student, now write this down, right? Stay with me. It's going to be helpful to you. They take Algebra 1, right? So your student athlete, they take Algebra 1, they score an 88. So follow with me. An 88 equals what? A B, right? A B is 3 quality points, right? They took it for the year, so you multiply that by 1 for 1 year. 3 times 1 equals 3 quality points for algebra, all right? And I'm going to go a little bit faster now. The next is ELA. So Algebra 1, they got a 3. Now ELA, or English, they scored a 78 in that class. So they got a C. They got 2 quality points for the year. 2 times 1 equals 2. Next is biology. They scored a 91. Good job. They got an A. 4 quality points times 1 unit. That equals 4. The last 2, Spanish, scored a 70. So they only got 2. 2 times 1 unit equals 2, right? And then last but not least, we'll go with world history. They scored a 96. They crushed it. They got an A. 4 quality points. You multiply that again by 1 equals 4. Now keep in mind, I'm doing it just for ease. I'm assuming all these are 1 full credits, but if it was half a year, you would take that quality point and you multiply it by 0.50. But for easy math, I just made them all 1 full unit. So now, what we do, how you figure out the GPA? We take the 3 from algebra, the 2 from English, the 4 from biology, the 2 from Spanish, and the 4 from world history. We add those all up. That gives us our total quality points. So freshman year, in our core classes, this particular student had 15 quality points. Now, they qualified because you went on the website and you saw that each of these courses qualify as a core class by the NCAA. Now, those are 5 core classes. You take the 15 quality points, you divide that by the number of core classes that they took, which is 5, and they had a 3.0 GPA in their core classes. That's how you figure out your core GPA. Now, keep in mind, maybe they took a religion class, or they took physical education, they took art, they took computer, and they got A's in all three of those classes. That could increase their overall GPA. That's awesome, which can help them with admissions to the schools and all that. But when it comes to NCAA eligibility, it has absolutely no impact. So now, the last thing I want to go over before I let you go today, is for the Division I level, they have a saying when it comes to eligibility. Their saying is 2.3 or take a knee. And the reason why they say 2.3 or take a knee is because if you want to play Division I athletics, you have to have at least a 2.3 GPA or higher in your core classes. On the flip side, it's not much difference, but for Division II, it's 2.2. And then Division III, they don't have all this. This is only for Division I and Division II NCAA athletics. So 2.3 core GPA for D1, 2.2 core GPA for Division II. And there's a few more things I wanted to stress. I don't care if you are a freshman, your student athlete is a freshman, I really hope that you're listening to this and you're taking this to heart, because you are in a great position now to really make sure you get off to a great start. You have no excuses if you're listening to this and your son or daughter is a freshman, or even if they're in 8th grade and they're going into 9th grade next year. At least now this is in your head. You can definitely get together with your guidance counselor. You can definitely go to the portal, check your classes, and literally map out your core classes that you're going to take each and every year. And you can just make sure if your son or daughter may be struggling in those classes, that you get them the help. If halfway through the year you see they're at a 78 or an 88 or a 67, you fight like heck to get them those 3 extra points, those 2 extra points, so that they can go to that next tier, right? That's number one. So get together with the guidance counselor, go to that portal. Now, if you're a junior or a senior and you got off to a bad start freshman and sophomore year, well, if you're a junior, that's fine, but now you know you got to do work. You got to really make sure you crush your junior year, right? Because you got to make up. And then, of course, senior year, you should be going to see your guidance counselor tomorrow to see where you stand. Because I'll be honest, you want to know where you stand. If maybe you're a few credits short, you want to see if there's anything you can do. But it also may just honestly, you might just say, you know what, I'm not going to be able to get there. I don't have enough credits. My GPA is too low, whatever it is. Obviously, you want to finish up. You want to do your best to finish the year strong. You want to, obviously take the SAT, do your best. I'm not saying give up by any stretch of the imagination, but now you may have to just consider another route. You have to do prep school for a year, which is totally fine. A lot of kids do that. It doesn't count towards your eligibility. You raise up your grades, get bigger, stronger, faster, all that good stuff. Or you may say, you know what, I'm going to go the JUCO route. And you go JUCO, you play 2 years, and then maybe you then transfer to a Division II or Division I program on a scholarship afterwards. So I'm not saying all is lost if you look up and you're a senior and you're not where you need to be, but I think you have to know where you stand. If you are a senior, don't go the whole year and not find out where you are, and then only to find out when a coach does want to offer you a scholarship, they say, oh, I can't offer you because we're not going to be able to get you in. You're not eligible, right? I'd rather you find out now and then make adjustments just like you would in a normal game. Make adjustments, adapt, figure out a way to make it happen. Talk to your teachers, right? Say, you need to raise your GPA and you're taking 4 core classes your senior year. Go to those teachers. Tell them what you're trying to do, your goals. Explain to them, what you have to get in that class. But don't just tell them because you want sympathy, but then say, what do I need to do to get a B? What do I need to do to get an A? I need to score strong. You're going to have my best effort. And, so have those honest conversations with your teachers, but then also meet with your guidance counselor. Print off your transcript, bring it to him or her, carve out 30 minutes and do this exercise with them and figure it out. But I really hope, again, this wasn't an inspirational, episode. It wasn't a lot of glitz and glamours, a lot of note taking. I did my best to try to make a topic that's not as easy to talk about, especially, via audio. I hope you were able to follow along. But this is literally what I do the first time I meet with a family, either on the phone, via a conference call, and then I send out, I email them supporting documents. But I literally will go through, if you're like a sophomore or a junior or a senior, we go through your transcript and we try to identify what your core GPA is. If you are a freshman and maybe you're not there yet, I can at least identify, what core classes are, and I explain to you all how that all works. But the big thing is all about making sure that when you go to graduate, there are no surprises. We don't like surprises in college recruiting. Surprises are not fun unless all of a sudden a random school, saw your highlight on Twitter and now they want to start recruiting you. That's a good surprise. But most times when it comes to college recruiting, surprises are not fun at all. And they have bad consequences 9 times out of 10. But until next time, actually one more thing, because I really want to make sure you get this information. Again, just write this down. This is your first time listening to the show. Again, thank you so much. I hope you found it helpful. But go to our website, and it's urecruitu.com, urecruitu.com. And if you want to listen to this particular episode, if you want to see the show notes, just hit /full ride, and then all the information is going to be right there for you. But until next time, this is your college recruiting coach, Quito Delgado, reminding you that college recruiting starts with you. What steps are you taking today to earn an athletic scholarship tomorrow?